Hey guys, this is Mark from parkflyers.com. Today we're looking at an awesome car. This is a custom Felony 8S. This was built for a customer. Customer wanted to buy the Felony and he wanted to get a lot more top end speed and a lot quicker acceleration. So we actually did a custom build for this customer. First thing we did is we switched out the stock motor. We went to a 1717 1650 kV Castle Creations motor. This motor has a lot more torque than the stock motor. And because it has more torque, you can actually overgear it. So you can get those top end speeds you're looking for. This one, we geared it to top out at just over 90 miles an hour with a 23 tooth pinion. We're running basically two 4S batteries. These are LIHVs. Now, LIHVs are the type of battery that have slightly more voltage than a typical 14.8 volt. They're 15.2 volts. Power Hobby 6,000 milliamp. There really adds a little bit more on the top end and just makes that acceleration super explosive. This car will absolutely scorch the asphalt as it takes off. And we actually went with Toyo Proxies, if you see them here. We got the wider ones in the back and the thinner ones in the front. These are actually specifically made by Proline for the Felony. That is absolutely fantastic. That means Proline, which is one of the top companies making wheels and tires, actually had their engineers engineer not just the tire, but the wheel to fit this car perfectly. And that's what we have on this car. What's the reason why we went with them? Is they have tons of grip, a lot more than the stock Hoons. And when you're going over 90 miles an hour, grip is what you want. This car is absolutely dangerous at high speeds. Very, very dangerous. So, like I said, with all this grip now, you're going to have a much safer car and you're going to have a more stable car. The wheels are rated to over 120 miles an hour, a lot more than the Hoons. I think the Hoons go up to about a 110. These are going to last longer. They also have a compound that lasts a lot longer than the Hoons, so they're made better. Very, very, very well-made tire, and like I said, specifically made for this car, and they perform flawlessly. For the servo, we kept the stock servo. We thought it was adequate. The S665 servo with a 25-tooth servo arm on that. And we went with the Castle Creations Mama Monster 8S. Really, really nice speed control, and it's very capable of taking this car where the 1650 just wants to let it go. So for the radio system, we actually switched out the stock system. We went with a TQI. We got rid of the AVC. Now the TQI has TSM. The TSM is more consistent. It actually performs better than the AVC. And we told the customer that in this car going this speeds, because the car is going at such a high clip, you want the best stability system that you can get, and that's the one with Traxxas. This is really the best. Take my word on it. I've used the AVC and I've used this and I've compared them. The TQI is going to be a much better system, especially in a car that's going over 90 miles an hour. Like I said, this is extremely dangerous when going these speeds. As a hobby shop, I have to put a disclaimer out there. If you're going to run a car like this, you really want to make sure small children or actually anybody is completely out of the way. Getting hit with something at 90 miles an hour can be fatal. I've heard a lot of stories and I've seen a lot of things. As a hobby shop owner, I know everything. So I hear things that don't make it into the public domain. And trust me when I tell you, you do not just want to take this out and run it near a crowd of people. You don't want to run it near cars. You'll end up with a lawsuit on your hand if you hit anything or damage anyone or any type of property. So be very careful with a car like this. Now, I want to say one thing. I sell a lot of on-road 8-scale cars, and I sell a lot of them from different brands. And I will tell you this. The Arrma puts out the best 8-scale on-road 4-wheel drive car out there. There are a lot of companies that make other cars like the XO1. You have the team associated SR7. This is going to be so much more stable, so much more controllable. In the end, it ends up being a safer car because you have a car that you can control. This car has such good engineering in it, and it's really something that people should take notice to because when you're going at very, very high speeds, you want something that is completely controllable and stable. The XO1 and the SR7 are great cars. We sell them in the shop, and they do have a lot of happy customers. However, I personally feel they're not as stable as, let's say, a felony or an infraction. You have to understand that Arrma put in a lot of time with the engineering on these cars, and it definitely shows, and it really paid off They really take into consideration downforce when they design their body. If you look at that front splitter that keeps the front down, you have the really big wing on the back. Look at the angle of that and the amount of air it traps with the side. You have those side little gills on them. That's going to keep the car planted in the rear. You have rear vents so that the car doesn't have any lift at high speeds. That is so important. Now, on the new XO1, they finally put that in the car because they saw the amount of lift that was happening when the car started going over 60. So Arrma, just from the gate, they just designed this well from the beginning. It doesn't really need too many upgrades. The only reason why we upgraded the motor and speed control on this one is the customer definitely wants better acceleration and higher end top speed. He also wanted something that's going to grip better. That's why we went with the Toyo Proxies. And overall, it's like I said, it doesn't need these upgrades, but you may take a great car and you make it phenomenal. This 8S setup here is absolutely phenomenal. There is nothing that can touch it on the market. It's not really going to break the bank. I think he was right around $1,500 for the whole build. And just to have a car that you just need to buy one of and keep it for a while, you don't really need to do much after you have this. Just be safe, run it in a safe place, a smooth street. Make sure there's no potholes in the way or anything, any type of breakups in the asphalt in your path. You have to check your street before you run something like this. It's very important that you do that. But overall, this is going to be my pick for 8-scale on-road. The Felony in an 8S configuration is absolutely psycho. This thing accelerates harder, and it basically accelerates harder and runs better than anything in its class. Now, one thing I want to show you what we did with the car is we put Demon Eyes. We have these little red halos in the front. That's a custom little touch we did for the customer. And on the back of the car, we went with like a little type of I would call them like round little GT lights, and they let off a really beautiful glow, and it makes the car look sick as it passes. The reason why we did Demon Eyes in the front and the lenses in the back is that you could have orientation of the car, knowing which is the front, which is the rear as it's coming by. You just understand and see what orientation it's in. It's good to have that when you're running at speeds this quick. Anyway, this is Mark from ParkFlyers.com signing off. Please share this video, subscribe to our channel, and please support our hobby shop by shopping on ParkFlyers.com. We really appreciate all the business from everybody across the country. We also appreciate our international customers from all around the world. Once again, thank you so much from Mark at ParkFlyers.com. Have a great day, and we will see you on the next one.